you have been able to join us today and show your commitment to what it is that Levelling Up is all about. Back in May, after the local elections, we set about putting together a new plan for Essex based on renewal, equality and ambition. And two of the key milestones that we're looking to really move forwards and to consider how we can improve relate to levelling up and climate change. So fast forward a few months, and on the 6th of January I launched the Levelling Up programme for Essex, taking a two-pronged approach, partly looking at people and also looking at place. So here in Harlow this morning, it is obviously the first launch for the locality in terms of place, and we're looking to showcase our commitments to levelling up in the town and highlight some specific projects that we are taking forwards that will help to make a real difference to both residents and businesses, and that really important link between the two. So first of all, what is levelling up? So I'm constantly asked this, and everybody will have their own interpretation of it, but for me it basically means spreading opportunity. We all know that the families that we're born into, the places that we live, the schools that we go to, the education that we have, they will all determine our life chances. And that means that many of us start from a very different place and ultimately can end up not fulfilling our potential. So what can we do to help level up and to spread that opportunity? And as we set out in our Essex White Paper, which we published 2 weeks ago, levelling up is about making sure that that opportunity is spread as wide as it can be, so that people can succeed in life and fulfil their potential, and that places and communities are able to share in this. We've identified Harlow as one of the priority places in Essex for taking forward levelling up, because it has tremendous and exciting potential. Look where we are today, I think this says it all. Linked in particular to the location of the London Stansted Cambridge Innovation Corridor, Harlow is clearly a town that has the opportunity to really go places. But we also know that Harlow has challenges. More than 1/4 of children in Harlow are classified as being disadvantaged, with all the long-term implications that this has for outcomes in education, employment, health, well-being. Levelling up is about breaking the cycle of disadvantage. And as we will see in our tour today, there are exciting new projects in Harlow to support regeneration and business innovation. The Arise Centre, where we are now, is a great example of this. Funded jointly by Essex County Council and Anglia Ruskin University, the Arise Centre, which will open in March, will provide an innovation hub for local businesses to connect with research clusters in life science, medtech and the digital sectors. And I'm delighted to be joined today by my Cabinet colleague, Leslie Ragland. Harlow's potential is also reflected in the great work that's happening across Harlow to boost education and skills. We'll be hearing more about the great work in this area when we visit Frederick Gibbard College later today, along with the Harlow Study Centre. My Cabinet colleague, Tony Ball, will be leading on these visits. Health and well-being, so often forgotten when it comes to opportunity and levelling up, are other key issues in levelling up in Harlow. I will be visiting the Essex Outdoor Centre at Harlow Lock later this morning with Rob Gurlis and Peter Whiteman from West Essex CCG, where we'll be talking about the importance of health and well-being and what that means, particularly for young people in terms of their education and advancement. We will also be speaking to one of our local partners, Changing Lives. The organisation does great work with young people, supporting them across Harlow to engage in healthy, active and positive lifestyles, and they have been a key partner of ours in our very successful holiday camps that have been running for the last couple of years. Levelling up is about action and commitment. When we launched Levelling Up in Essex 2 weeks ago, I made a number of announcements, including £10 million of new investment to support levelling up in the county over the next 4 years, and a £500,000 community challenge fund to support stronger communities. And today I'm pleased to be able to go further and make new announcements to support levelling up here in Harlow. These announcements link together the themes I've already been talking about: supporting our businesses, fostering aspiration, boosting education and skills, and enhancing health and well-being. Essex County Council will be investing an additional £10 million across Essex over the next 4 years to support economic growth and skills. This is a significant new investment that demonstrates our commitment to Essex businesses and residents, and is in addition to what we are already spending. We will also be launching a new programme called Harlow Futures to support children and young people in their learning and the transition into employment. Together with the refurbishment of Harlow Library and an exciting programme in Harlow to deliver the Essex Year of Reading, This represents a really comprehensive programme to boost learning here in the town and to address the impacts on learning that we know, particularly after the pandemic and the last couple of years, with a particular focus on children from disadvantaged backgrounds. Essex County Council will be launching 2 new initiatives to support skills development in Harlow, linked to future sectors where Harlow can build real strengths. We'll be investing £100,000 in an electric vehicle centre at Harlow College, which will open in August 22. The first training places will take place from September onwards, and the project will fund 50 places over the next 2 years. This will enable local people to develop a professional qualification in electric vehicle repair and maintenance, which we know will be a major growth sector and key to supporting the transition to carbon net zero. We'll also be investing £200,000 in Harlow Skills Engine, focused on the skills in STEAM areas, science, including medtech and digital, which we know are key for Harlow, technology, engineering, arts and mathematics. The Harlow Skills Engine will provide a more coherent offer for the unemployed and those looking to upskill and retrain, focused predominantly on 16 to 24-year-olds. Finally, I'm also pleased to announce that Essex County Council is launching Park Play in Harlow Town Park. Park Play, which operates like Park Run, but it's focused on playtime rather than running and emphasises the importance of the family. It's a great new programme that shows the power of play and fun activities to bring people together, build social connections and support happy and active lifestyles. So today we're launching Levelling Up in Harlow, but this is just the beginning, it's not the end. As the work progresses over the coming months, we'll have a string of announcements to make, new things to celebrate and new things to learn from, as we continue not just with our ambitions at the County Council, but as we reach out to our partners and work collaboratively with them. Many of you are here in the room today. And we'll be launching Levelling Up in other parts of the county too in coming months. All the things that I have spoken about today are delivered in partnership, whether that's with our MPs, our district council, our health partners, the emergency services, colleges, schools, businesses, local community groups. Levelling Up is a team activity. It doesn't belong to one person and it's not the responsibility of any individual. It's about building strong local partnerships. That's why I'm delighted to speak today and to have with us Rob Halfon MP and Russell Perrin at today's launch, and to be hearing about the work of a range of other partners in this space. Working together, we can ensure that the potential that we all see for Harlow really can be realised. Thank you.
To speak as the leader of Harlow Council, and before I go into my speech, I'd just like to thank Louise and her team for picking Harlow as the launch site of Levelling Up in Harlow. And I'd like to pick up on something she said. She said that Levelling Up is not the preserve of any one person or any one organisation, but it's incumbent upon us all to do our own bit. And it is in working in partnership, and we're very grateful. And I was very excited to meet both you and Kevin, the leader of County Council, the other day, to begin our partnership. And I hope my administration can work with your administration to do right by the people of Harlow. And I don't know if you know, but our motto at our town hall is "In Common Endeavour." And I think in common endeavour we can achieve many great things. Because Harlow is a great town, and the Conservative Party is proud of Harlow's past. We acclaim the scientific and technological innovations to which Harlow gave birth and which ushered in the modern industrial and scientific age. Examples as diverse as radar by Raytheon, the fibre optic by B&R, and the post-it note by the 3Ms are but to name a few. We can look back at the history of our town in confidence. There has not been a drain on the state, but instead contributed to the well-being of our nation and that of mankind the world over. Harlow is a place where the people punch above their weight, seeking to claim little credit for their achievements. Instead, they are content to work with quiet industry and sobriety. So it is here that we meet, at a newly established seat of learning, in a town noted for its scientific progress, in a community noted for its compassion, in a country noted for its strength. And we do stand in need of all three, for we meet in a time of great challenge and change, in a decade of hope and fear, in an age of both knowledge and ignorance. The greater our knowledge increases, the greater our ignorance unfolds. Despite the striking fact that most of the scientists the world have ever known are alive and working today, despite the fact that this nation's own scientific manpower has delivered a vaccine at breakneck speed, where most vaccines suffer a fate worse than Devon Lock at the Grand National and fall at the final hurdle, despite that, the vast stretches of the unknown and the unanswered and the unfinished far outstrip our collective comprehension. No one can fully grasp how far and how fast we have come, but condense, if you will, the 50,000 years of man's recorded history in a time span of about half a century. Stated in these terms, we know very little about the first 40 years, except at the end of them, advanced man had learned to use the skins of animals to cover them. Then about 10 years ago, under this standard, man emerged from his caves to construct other kinds of shelter. Only 5 years ago, man learned to write and use a cart with wheels. Christianity began less than 2 years ago. The printing press came this year, and then less than 2 months ago, during this whole 50-year span of human history, the steam engine provided a new source of power. Newton explored the meaning of gravity. Last month, lights and telephones and cars and airplanes became available. Only last week did we develop penicillin, television and nuclear power, and we landed on the moon only a few moments ago. This is a breathtaking pace, and such a pace cannot help but create new ills as it dispels old, new ignorance, new problems, new dangers. Surely the opening vistas this new knowledge provides promise high costs and hardships as well as high reward. Small wonder this dizzying pace of change, often labelled to be the cause of apathy and disenfranchisement of many in our society, leads to calls for some to slow down. They would have us rest a little while longer, to wait. Sadly, this has been the case for too long here in our town. Our great town is tired. Its estates are tired, it's road weary, our town centre fatigued. Tragically, this town of ours was not built by those who waited and rested and wished to look behind them. It was done so by those that look forward. So we too must look forward. We must level up. We won the election in May last year because we pointed out these tragic shortcomings and the state of decline to the electorate. We believed we can inspire the renewal of our past faculties and ingenuity. We communicated that belief to the people. We talked of the need for renewal of our town, our states, our civic pride, the need to level up. The extent of our decline was denied by many. Many more said the cost to level up is too high, the task too great. But I say to those that would have us continue on a downward slide to ruin, you are wrong. Those who came before us made certain that this town rode the first waves of the new town revolutions, embracing new thinking around home construction, social spacing and progressive living. We too must create a new wave, a wave of rebirth and regeneration of our town, to level up. And we here mean to lead it. For the eyes of our townspeople look to us to achieve this high purpose. But that does not mean that the remedy lies only in the economics, in the money. The economics will come right if the spirit and determination is there. The mission of my administration is much more than the promotion of economic regeneration. It is to renew the spirit of solidarity of our town, to ensure that the ambitions of the levelling up agenda lead to action. We need to aspire a new civic mood, as much as to replace bricks and mortar. Nothing is beyond us. Decline is not inevitable, but nor is progress a law of nature. The ground gained by one generation must not be lost by the next. At the heart of a new mood in our town must be a recovery of our self-confidence and our self-respect. The roadmap to this new mood is to level up. So we must level up, providing a boost to jobs, skills, innovation, education and housing. We are already witnessing signs of this recovery. We are taking back control of our town centre with the first ever planning framework in Harlow's history. We've had investment from the County Council in our town's libraries and the delivery of a fantastic new literacy programme, both for young and old, to support the most vulnerable in our society. And we've heard much more today of the wonderful investments that the County Council are making in our town, and we are much grateful for that. We've received well over £250 million of support from central government to protect our people from the worst of the economic fallout from the pandemic and to build back better. And key in part to receiving that funding has been our fantastic Member of Parliament, Robert Halfon. We will soon be announcing an ambitious new council home building programme worth more than £26 million of investment. We have just announced this week a £122 million 5-year investment programme to improve existing council homes and flats, £63 million 5-year programme to improve council-owned facilities across our town, £6.4 million programme to enhance the town's landscaping and the environment, more funding for our popular community services including Harlow Playhouse, Pets Corner and the Harlow Museum, a new estates renewal fund to restore pride in our estates and neighbourhoods, a newly combined planning and regeneration department to provide a focus on delivering town centre and wider regeneration. Levelling up can be best achieved, we believe, through regeneration, and that is what we are delivering. Earlier in the year at the civic service, I drew upon and adapted quotes from John F. Kennedy, much as I've done today. I take this opportunity to share with you now what I said then. We choose to regenerate our town, and we choose to regenerate our town in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organise and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because the challenge is one that we are willing to accept, and one we are unwilling to postpone. And so it's for these reasons that I regard the decision of my administration to shift our efforts in regenerating our town from low to high gear as among the most important decisions that will be made during my time in office. Regeneration will be the main catalyst to levelling up in Harlow and providing that opportunity for each and every one of the people of our town to play their part in that levelling up agenda. Our agenda for renewal, regeneration, levelling up requires strength. We need to be strong enough to protect our people from the wreckers and doomsters and those who are satisfied to perpetuate the status quo. Weakness leads to ruin. We must be strong enough to insist that the institutions of our town are refurbished so that we can pass to those who come after us the treasures which we have inherited from those that have gone before. Here we know that the restoration of the confidence of our great town is a massive task. We do not shrink from it. It will not be given to this generation of our townspeople to create a great town. It is already great, as has already been said. But it is given to us to demand an end to the decline and make a stand against what Churchill once described as the long, dismal, drawling tides of drift and surrender, of wrong measurements and feeble impulses. That is what levelling up means, and levelling up is what we should do. Our recovery will give all the people of our town a new hope and a new optimism. It will not only be the Conservatives, but also the people of Harlow who will then be able to say with Tennyson, "We sailed wherever ship could sail. We founded many a mighty state. Pray God our greatness may not fail through craven fears of being great."
A special day, and I want to begin by thanking Louise at Essex Council, all her colleagues who are here today, because to launch the Essex Levelling Up programme in Harlow, I think shows the commitment of Essex County Council to our town, and it is very exciting what you are doing, and you're leading the way around the country in terms of councils and levelling up, and rightly recognised by the government. And I think the people of Harlow will know that Essex Council is putting Harlow first, and it will make a huge difference. Now Louise started talking about what does levelling up mean, and I think it is. I mean, when I've gone round in my constituency and asked people, a lot of people just think it's about the potholes. One person said to me, is it about computer games and the skills levels in computer games? But actually, levelling up has a lot more substance than just the potholes, although we need to deal with those as well. It is about three things. It's about cutting the cost of living, it's about education and skills, and it is about rebuilding our infrastructure in our town and across the country. And in all those three areas, Harlow and Essex are leading the way. And these are not three separate elements. Cutting the cost of living, education, skills, and infrastructure are all intertwined. They're all related to one another. Unless you have a good job, unless you have good skills, you don't get a good job. Unless you have a good job, you won't be able to have a better standard of living. Unless you're able to travel to work on decent roads and live in a decent town, you won't have a quality of life. So these are not separate strands, they're all interlinked to one another. And fundamentally, levelling up is about the ladder of opportunity. It's about bringing people to that ladder, helping them climb, having a social safety net in case they fall off. And at the top of that ladder is job security and prosperity for their families. And what is going on in Harlow is quite remarkable. We have the new Public Health England, the UK Health Security Agency, moving to our town. It's hundreds of millions of pounds and also thousands of jobs. We will become the health science capital, not just of Essex, not just of the east of England, but literally of the world. Today, we are here in the Enterprise Zone, which George Osborne gave us when he was the Chancellor. This was a field when I first became a parliamentary candidate in Harlow in 1999, a field. I live in an estate just opposite called Newhall, which was just a field not so long ago. And look at what we have here, the Anglia-Ruskin University, the MedTech campus, the Science Park, and next door we have CAIO data. We are the biggest cloud data bank, the biggest in Europe, with another data bank to be built. And for years that was just a ruin, just opposite. And Harlow is changing in quite an extraordinary way. We've got Pearson there, NVIDIA, one of the biggest computer chip companies in the world, building the UK's biggest supercomputer. Quite extraordinary what is going on in our town in the space of literally 10 years, just a decade. Our new hospital, which will be built over the next few years, the £81 million given to Junction 7A, and the road improvements to Gildon Way and Edinburgh Way, literally hundreds of millions being invested in our town. And I doubt there are many towns in the country getting as much as we are. And only a few months ago we secured the £23.7 million town deal to kickstart regeneration projects in our town centre. And what I find often so depressing is I had a great interview yesterday with Sky News, but what did they go and do? They went to picture a walkway by Terminus House. All these things will go over time, but of course all the viewers saw about Harlow was a grotty walkway by Terminus House, and that is sadly their impression of Harlow. And yet the media never come here. The media never go to the new estates. The media never go to the pinnacles and see the science park and the massive factories that have opened up there. I'm not talking about the local media, by the way, just to be very clear, and I see BBC Essex in your Harlow here. What I'm talking about is the national media and how they present Harlow, and so much is based on reputation. We have to make sure that all the incredible things are not just told about in this room by people like me and the Deputy Leader of Essex Council, but that the media, the national media, come and see what is happening in our town. Now, my passion since I've been in politics has been education and skills. And I was the first MP to employ a parliamentary apprentice. We've had 6 in our office. One of them now is sitting in front of us, Dan Swords, who is now a cabinet member at Harlow Council and is a full-time communication officer. And I've tried to do the same in the town and support education and skills. And we have the Advanced Manufacturing Centre, millions of pounds. I see the cabinet member there who does so much, Tony, to try and promote apprenticeships, and he's as passionate as I am. And my dream is that we would offer every single Harlow person an apprenticeship guarantee, whether it's starting at level 2 or rising up to degree level at your university and others, Anglo-Ruskin University, because degree apprenticeships, in my view, are what I call my two favourite words in the English language. They provide a ladder to the disadvantaged. They mean that students can earn while they learn and have no debt. The students get a great skill at the end, and above all, they get jobs. And we know that 90% of those who complete apprenticeships get good jobs. And you can't say that about every graduate, sadly, these days, because graduates are finding it harder and harder to get jobs, and also have a big whacking loan to pay off. The final thing I just want to say to you, what does Harlow mean to me and to everyone in this room? Well, I've always thought that you can sum up Harlow in 4 words. It's a place of aspiration. People came to this town from the poorer parts of London because they wanted to make their lives better. And that is what we should be about, a town of aspiration. But it's also a town of achievement. We weren't just the town that invented the secret formula for Bailey's Irish cream, genuinely true, but fibre optic communications, medicine, groundbreaking medicines for mental health, and many other things, sporting achievements, cultural achievements, environmental achievements. But we can't rest on our laurels, and we've got to carry on achieving great things for our town. But it's also a place of, if it's aspiration and achievement, the third value for Harlow is a place of community. And what I have always found since I've lived here in 1999 is that whilst we may not always have high levels of economic capital, we have extraordinary levels of social capital. The community networks, the residents associations, the charities, and many other voluntary groups are extraordinary what goes on in our town. And what that means is, even when things are bad, that the levels of social capital are so high that people get through it. And we've not, thank goodness, despite the deprivation, been amongst the worst hit over COVID, and jobs are coming back to our town as well, with businesses coming to Harlow and opening. And the final value, third, aspiration, achievement, community, is what Louise said. We're a town of opportunity. And today is exactly about that, because levelling up is about opportunity. Because if you come to Harlow, there are jobs and skills for. If you're in Harlow, we're going to give you that ladder to give you some of the skilled jobs that are opening up in the future. And it will be a wonderful place to live. We will sort out our town centre, if it's the last thing that I and the councillors do, part of the town centre I should say, because much of it is lovely, but half of it is not. And we will make sure that Harlow, we build an even better Harlow, champion skills and apprenticeships, cut the cost of living for residents, and protect our NHS by building a new hospital fit for the 21st century. Thank you.